Okay, apologies for the slight late start. It's just gone 7 o'clock. Call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone to this meeting of the Cabinet. My name is Councillor Shantanu Rajwat. I'm the leader of the council, and by virtue of that, I'm also chair of Cabinet. Good to see some people in the audience, and those of you watching at home, I hope you get something out of this meeting tonight. We've got quite a packed agenda, so I'm going to get through it fairly rapidly. Obviously, those presenting, please feel to present as fully as you like. Yeah, we've got quite a bit to get through. Just wanted to acknowledge before we get into the formal agenda, tonight is the final cabinet meeting of our colleague Peter Matthew, the Exec Director of Housing Regeneration, Development and all alike. I just want to put my record as leader of the council, my thanks to you, Peter, for all your service to the borough. The borough has changed so much in your time here, and you steered us through what are some very difficult times. And I know it's been challenging, but you've always done it with a big smile on your face, almost always, and hunger at the end of meetings. But we've really valued your support and your guidance in your time here. And I know you're going to enjoy your retirement and be an advocate for Hounslow from afar or near as well. So on behalf of Cabinet colleagues, and I'm sure the Officer Corps as well, can I wish you all the best and thank you once again. If that could be minuted, okay, that'd be great. Well done. Do you want to say a few words? Characteristic. Yeah, Catherine, do you want to say a few words?
Just to add to that, and yeah, to add my voice and say thank you to Peter, particularly during the time when I was lead member for housing and we worked together, and it felt like that was a really tough time when it was in terms of numbers in temporary accommodation that we managed to bring down, and all the problems we had with the housing crisis at that time. Here we are again. But yes, you were a very, very good person to work with throughout all of that. And of course, we've worked on lots of different things, as we still are doing, Peter. So don't run away too soon, but I hope you'll enjoy your retirement.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay, we'll get into the formal agenda. I've not had any apologies for absence this evening. Cabinet colleagues, are there any declarations of interest? Councillor Bruce.
Yes, for agenda item 9, I need to declare that my mother is the Vice Chair of Governors at Hounslow Heath Junior School, and so therefore I will leave that for that agenda item during the meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Bruce. Councillor Dunn.
So I believe there are in the SIL allocations, there is some allocation for strategic cycle routes in the borough. I have been advised to declare that I am a member of Hounslow Cycling, which is part of the London Cycling Campaign, as a matter of the wording is in there somewhere. I don't believe it's a conflict of interest, but just so that that's on the record.
Quite right. Thank you, Councillor Dunn. Any other declarations of interest from any other members? Any communications from to any members, sorry, you'd like to declare? No? Good. Okay, we then move on to agenda item 2, minutes of the meeting held on the 13th of December. That is page 8 or 7 to 15 in your agenda pack. I'll take them page by page if I could have any inaccuracies, and any matters arising as well. Page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10, page 11, page 12, page 13, and then finally page 14. Are we agreed to sign the minutes? Agreed. Thank you very much. Great. I'll sign those in a moment. Right, we move on to the first substantive item on the agenda. So agenda item 3, the Hounslow Revenue Account HRA, Business Plan 2023 and Council House Delivery Plan, which is on page 16 to 59 of your agenda packs. Can I hand over to Councillor Tom Bruce?
Thank you very much, Leader. I'm delighted to be kicking us off this evening. This agenda item 3 is a bit of a trio with 4 and 5 in that it talks about the HRA, our business plan, our changes to the service charge and the investments that we're making on our estates. The second 2 bits will be led off by Councillor Sampson. This one talks about and asks Cabinet to approve the business plan and how we're going to be fulfilling our manifesto commitment to build 1,000 new council homes in the next 4 years. It's long been policy of this Labour group and has been over the time that I've been here to ensure we build as many council homes for our residents as we possibly can. And that is exactly what we are proposing to do here. We know that the situation in the economy and with finances is volatile and has been up and down. Inflation and interest rates and the like, which I don't need to go into, I know is having an effect on everyone's finances, individuals, companies, and councils. But it is really pleasing, and this is, down to a lot of an enormous amount of hard work on the part of officers to get us to a place where we're able to show line of sight to those 1,000 council homes being built in the next 4 years of this 3.5 years, I should say now, of this administration. Just to briefly talk about a couple of things from the report. Really pleased to see and that Charlton House and Albany House are on here. A lot of work has been done with the residents there, a lot of engagement in talking about how we can maximise and improve their estate no end. We know and they know that it needs some investment, and we want to do that for those residents there. And we've also got a number of other areas of the borough, Hamworth Park House, Commerce Road, Convent Way, where we're talking about doing very, very similar things, where we are looking to improve the lives of our residents, getting them council homes that they deserve, helping them to live in areas that we all would be proud of, and investing money where it most is richly needed. So again, I'm delighted to bring this first report as part of that trio, and hope that Cabinet supports the decisions therein. The recommendations therein, I should say.
Thank you, Councillor Bruce. Councillor Sampson, are you going to second it?
Yes, Leader, I second, yes.
Reserve your right. Yeah, thank you very much. It's now open to questions and discussion. Anybody like to contribute to this item? I can see no one indicating. Okay. Councillor Sampson has seconded. Do you want to say anything? No. Okay, good. So the recommendations are on page 15. Sorry. You can sum up, Councillor Bruce.
I'm sorry. I was saving it for the summing up because I wanted to also pay tribute to Peter at the same time and say thank you very much. Obviously, with relation to this report, him and his team working incredibly hard on getting this through before he popped off in the sunset and left us. And I'm really pleased to have had the opportunity to work with him over the past few months more directly, but also over the past few years that I've been a councillor, and echo the words of Councillor Rajwa and Councillor Dunn as well. Thank you.
Good. Right, so we move to the vote. The recommendations 1 to 5 are on page 15 and 16 of the agenda pack. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Before we move to the next item, sorry, remiss of me, Kay, an apology for lateness from Councillor Lambert, please. Thank you. Right, agenda item 4 is page 59 of your agenda pack. That is the Hounslow Revenue Account rent and service charges for 23-24. Hand over to Councillor Sue Sampson.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, sorry. Hounslow Revenue Account. I draw your attention in particular to the recommendations within the report. The increase of council rents by 7% in line with the national policy cap, and specific increases in tenant service charges, district heating service charges, leasehold and freehold service management fees, and garage rents. If all these recommendations are approved, the average service charge and dwelling rent payable by most tenants will increase on average by 7.77%. Colleagues, we have, of course, thought hard about these charges and changes, especially in the current economic situation. But we are required to ensure that estimated costs of delivering service are recovered and not subsidised by rents. At a time when we are facing service inflation costs above 10%, managing with any below inflation income will be a big challenge for the council, especially to deliver our commitment to improve the quality of our estates and homes. But as Councillor Bruce mentioned, because we have been prudent in managing our HRA, we are well placed to deliver our commitments to invest in our estates and homes. In my next report, I will ask to agree our plans for doing just that. But for now, I ask you to support the recommendations of this report.
Thank you, Councillor Sampson. I'll formally second it and reserve my right to speak on this item. So it's open to questions, discussions. Anybody like to say anything? Councillor Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to reiterate the fact that we don't take these decisions lightly. I mentioned in my report earlier about we're all aware of the financial situation, the economic climate for everybody, councils, businesses, companies, and individuals. And all the people living in our properties are going to be affected in some way by these changes. We are fully aware of that and acknowledge that. But this is a decision that I support and agree that needs to be made because of the reasons outlined by Councillor Sampson. We need to ensure that we continue to invest in our estates. We continue to provide homes that people are proud to live in and areas that people want to be. And although these are difficult decisions, I think it is the right one in this case, and we'll be supporting this.
Thank you, Councillor Bruce. Anyone else? Councillor Thompson.
Just a quick question, Councillor Sampson. In regard to the, I understand the reason for the quite large, relatively speaking, increase in district heating. Obviously, we all get why that has to be the case. Are we going to be proactive in telling residents about the fact they can appeal for help with the energy bill support scheme, alternative funding scheme? So are we actually going to go out there and make sure everyone knows about that and they can apply online and get that 400 quid?
That is, I can confirm that is already in process.
Okay, anyone else? No. So just as a seconder, just to say a few words on the point that Councillor Thompson made, actually, whilst a vast number of our tenants will have this increase absorbed in their benefits, I think it is important to note that as a council, we're very acutely aware that people are struggling out there and we want to help wherever we can. So as well as signposting to that specific scheme, any resident in hardship, any tenant in hardship should contact the council and seek advice so that we can offer as much support as we have available to us to them through what are very difficult times as well. Okay, I can't see anyone else indicating that they would like to speak on this. So the recommendations are on page 59, 1.1 to 1.8. Can I see all those in favour, please? That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much, colleagues. Next report is the Housing Revenue Account Estate Investment Capital Programme 23 to 29. Back to you, Councillor Sampson.
Thank you, Leader. Comrades, this report is asking you to approve our one-year HRA Estate Investment Capital Programme as set out in Appendix A, Table 1. Essentially, it is our repairs and maintenance programme for 23-24 and our indicative 5-year estate investment capital programme 24 to 29. It also recommends our approach to meeting our climate emergency target for reducing emissions and improving the energy efficiency of the council's social housing stock. Comrades, as I mentioned, even with the funding challenges we can, and this report sets out how we can invest up to 210 million over the next 6 years to improve the quality of our estates and homes. It is about how we will ensure the safety and security for our residents. Over the coming months, we will work to inform and engage our tenants and leaseholders that they are clear what this invest will mean for them and their estates and their homes and when. So I recommend the approval of this report, Leader.
And I will formally second it and reserve my right to speak. It's now open for discussion, questions, debate. Anyone? Anyone? No? No? Okay. All right. Well, we'll go straight to the vote on this one. Details of the recommendation on page 74A to D. Can I see all those in favour, please? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Right, agenda item 6, allocation reporting on SIL and section 106 funds. Councillor Bruce.
Thank you very much. I mean, the only comment I was going to make on the previous report was about.
Very well. It's now open. Councillor Shaheen.
Thank you, Leader, and thank you, Councillor Bruce, for bringing this report forward. And I do mean thank you, because it's a report that demonstrates that we are a borough that is willing and able to invest vital funds on vital projects. And particularly, I'm very glad and grateful to see that we are putting money into our parks, into our green space, into our leisure facilities, into facilities for our children, much needed areas where they're needed improvements to the playground facility. So I think that's a really, really positive step forward in this report. I'm very grateful, and I'd like to see those funds spent and used and put to the fullest use for our residents in our green spaces and leisure facilities. Now, I think it's important to recognise that, of course, while some projects have been successful for SIL money, some are recommended for refusal for SIL money on this occasion. But I think it's very important to recognise that doesn't mean that the council is refusing to give those projects money. It doesn't mean we're not prioritising them. They might not be successful on this occasion for SIL money, but there are other avenues to fund those vital projects that were in this report that are equally important, but maybe not suitable for SIL. And I look forward to exploring other ways to fund those projects too.
Thank you, Councillor Shaheen. Councillor Dunn.
Thank you. So, well, having mentioned priority cycle routes, I may as well come back to that. Just to say, it's good that we are getting some money in order to be able to do some of these. I know that Cycleway 9 gets a lot of the limelight, and it is, of course, a flagship project, but it's certainly not the only thing that we do in order to facilitate cycling and active travel in the borough. So there are these other priority cycle routes that have been identified and that will be receiving funding through this programme, and also things to improve things for pedestrians and for people who use wheelchairs and mobility scooters as well. So we look at active travel in the round and don't just concentrate on one mode. Just as an aside, I was delighted to attend the opening of the bridge, under the bridge at Duke's Meadows. And was it this week or last week? I've lost track. It must have been last week now. Yeah. So that was really fantastic to see that come to fruition. And I know that project's been driven by Councillor John Todd and by Steve Curran previously. Just one example of how we're improving things for walking and people who use wheelchairs and mobility scooters. And I know there are some things in here as well. And of course, it would be remiss of me not to mention the funding here that's going towards combating climate change as well, and retrofitting our social housing stock, and also to the Community Energy Fund, which allows allows community groups to bid for funding to make improvements to their buildings, and some groups have already benefited from that scheme. So I'm delighted to see that there's more money going towards that.
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. Anyone else? Councillor Thompson.
Just picking up the point you made, Councillor Bruce, with the ones who haven't spent the money yet, is there sort of a time limit on that? Obviously, we don't want to sit there forever doing nothing.
No, there's two years for them to spend it.
Spend it.
So, we have to be honest. In some cases, it's our own departments and teams, and it's groups from outside as well.
Yeah.
And there are reasons, but sometimes it can be allocated, and it can take a year or two for it, or a bit longer to come through. And once we start spending it, that's fine. But what we want is to be confident that these things are going to come to fruition. I don't want to be handing any money back.
No.
Is basically my point.
Good. Thank you.
Good point. We're absolutely clear. With all these projects, they need to be delivered and deliverable as well within the timeframes. And to Councillor Dunn's point, anyone that hasn't visited Dukes Meadows footbridge, do so. It's amazing, especially in the evening. It looks lovely. It looks really, really nice. And I'm told that the residents of Barnes love it even more than the residents of Hounslow, which is a very high bar anyway. So if there's no one else, sum up. Go on, Councillor Bruce.
You know, I like to sum up. I would just say, I'm sure councillors, cabinet members and other councillors listening and various community groups out in the borough probably have the same discussions that we all have, where lots of people say, oh, well, you build these tall buildings, not you, but, and what do we get for it? Well, I would just urge you to look at this report, and particularly the maps. There are some very exciting maps in here about where we are spending, where we have spent the money previously, where the money is going to be allocated to, and there is a spread across the borough. It is not in one particular area alone. We want to spread the love across the borough in terms of how we're going to be doing that, and it indicates exactly how that's happened. So I would urge people, if they're not going to read anything else, have a look at the nice maps that have been designed, and see where these things have come through. I think that's a really important aspect for people to understand what is going on and what we're trying to achieve here. Thank you, Leader.
Spreading the love. That's a bit racy for a cabinet meeting. Right, the recommendations are on page 91, 1 to 4. Can I see all those in favour, please? That's unanimously carried. Thank you very much. Now we move to agenda item 7, the quarterly performance monitoring, quarter 2, 22-23. That is a report by myself. Cabinet should be familiar with the performance reports. It's really important. Having set out our corporate plan, a very comprehensive and ambitious corporate plan, alongside financial delivery, performance against the measures that are included in there, offering confidence to our residents that we are making progress towards delivering our corporate plan is very important. You'll see in this report that the measures are grouped by the themes of the corporate plan. Some of those measures within the report are still being defined and bulked out. That is a process. So you'll see those starting to be more fuller as we go through, as some of these projects come online and some of the business cases are agreed. But there's quite a lot in this report. I don't intend to go into it in very much more detail than that, but I'm happy to move it formally. You can second it.
I shall second it and reserve my right to speak.
Excellent. Open to questions, comments. Anyone? No, I can't see anyone indicating on this, so I'll move it to the vote. The details of the recommendation are on page 145. Can I see all those in favour? That's agreed. Perfect. Right. Next, we move on to agenda item 8, the council tax base for 23-24. As we go towards setting the budget in February, this is quite an important report. This forms the basis of our calculations on our council tax income. So this is the number of properties at Bandy that we will base our council tax calculations on. It also makes an assumption on the council tax collection rate, which sits at around 98%, which I think is really good, especially in tough times. And I thank residents who do pay by whichever means on time throughout the year. It really does help give us income that goes towards vital services that we are so dependent on. That's all I wanted to say on that, and I formally move the report. Councillor Dunn, do you mind seconding it?
Second it, reserve my right to speak.
Excellent. It's open to debate, discussion. Anybody? No, I cannot see anyone indicating. So the recommendations are on page 164, A to C. Can I see all those in favour? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Right. We then move on to agenda item 9. This is the response to the initial stakeholder consultation on the proposal to amalgamate Hounslow Heath Infant and Nursery and Hounslow Heath Junior. Well done, Councillor Bruce, for leaving. I'd completely forgotten. Over to you, Councillor Bath.
Isn't he? Yeah, okay. Thank you, leader. So this report is a report asking you to agree the next stage in the proposal to amalgamate Hounslow Heath Infant and Nursery and Hounslow Heath Junior Schools. So the reason that we are doing this is that we have a policy in Hounslow that where an opportunity comes up to amalgamate infant, nursery and juniors to form one primary school, we do that. And in the report, there is a rationale behind that on why we do it. And some of the reasons are obviously it's a lot better for the children in terms of educational outcomes, planning and policy, and also for parents who don't have to, when their children move from infant school, they don't have to apply again to go for junior. So an opportunity has come up here to go ahead with the amalgamation. And in this report, you will be able to see the response to the consultation, and you'll be able to see minutes from meetings that we've had with schools as part of that consultation process. So in terms of the recommendations are that we proceed to the next stage. We don't actually make that decision. It's the adjudicator that makes that decision. But what I'm asking Cabinet to do is propose to go to the next stage. I also want you to note in the recommendations that we will be recommending that the seven forms of entry, that currently exist in both schools, if a new school does go ahead, that we go to 5 forms of entry. And the reason being is because of the declining school roll, and obviously that also has an impact on school budget. So that seems to be the sensible way to go. So that is one of the recommendations. The other thing that you need to note is that one of the schools, it will be the infant school. If this goes ahead and we amalgamate and there's one school, the infant school actually has a deficit in their budget. So that deficit will be absorbed by the council. So when the two schools amalgamate and form one school, that there won't be an operating deficit balance in that situation. So that's one of the recommendations. Now, in terms of actual schools closing and reforming, there's no building works here. There's no movement to any other school. It just literally closes on one day and reopens on another on the same site, same amount of teachers, etc., etc. So that is the recommendations. I think I've gone through it all, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bath. I'll formally second it and reserve my right to speak. It's now open for questions and comments. Anybody like any takers? Can't see anyone indicating on this. So the recommendations are on page 179 over onto 180, 1 to 6. Can I see all those in favour? Noting that Councillor Bruce is withdrawn. Okay, that's carried. Would someone mind just calling him back in? Yeah, please. Thank you. Okay, whilst Councillor Bruce comes back to his seat, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, agenda item 10, Pan London Vehicle and Secure Children's Homes. That's page 292 to 323. Back over to you, Councillor Bath.
Okay, thank you. So as you know, as a council, we have a responsibility to provide accommodation and placements for looked after children. And occasionally from time to time, we have to find placements for children that are quite costly because we need complex placements for them. And nationally, this is not just Hounslow, but nationally across the country, there is a real problem in trying to find secure placements for children who have these needs, particularly in London. So the proposal that we have today here that I would like you to agree is that this council becomes a member of a not-for-profit company known as a Pan London Vehicle. And the whole purpose of being part of this company is that we will be with the grant money from Department for Education, we will be overseeing the build of 24 secure placement homes within London. So all of the local authorities will be part of this company. It's a company that will be limited by guarantee, and the idea of that is that we will be able to secure placements for our looked after children when we need them. So it would hopefully produce better outcomes for children because they're placed closer to home rather being placed hundreds of miles away. And also it will mean that we have more say over the costs, because obviously as a company we would be setting our own costs. There is a membership fee to be part of this company, which is around 20,000 a year for the first 3 years with a break clause. But this membership fee doesn't actually start until the company is up and running, and we're in a position to start sort of securing places. So what I'd like you to do is agree recommendations 1 to 4 in the in this report. The actual recommendations 1 to 4 on page 291. If Cabinet could agree those. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bath. I'll formally second it and reserve my right to speak. Anyone? Sorry, Councillor Lambert, welcome to the meeting. As you were here after it had started, you can't take part in this item or vote on this item. You're very welcome. Anyone else? Any comments? Any questions on this? No. So as Councillor Bath said, the recommendations are on page 291, 1 to 4. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Right, I have not, item number 11, I've not had any referrals from other council committees, and I've not been notified of any urgent business. We do have a excluded item. Can I have someone move exclusion of press and public, please? Councillor Bath, thank you. Is that seconded? Seconded. Yeah, agreed. Thank you very much. So for those of you watching online, thank you very much for joining us this evening. We will see you on the 21st of February from 7 p.m. We'll now end the recording, and there is no press and public in the public gallery. Good. Just wait for the recording to stop.